A week into this World Cup, the story is more complicated than either the celebrations or the criticisms alone would suggest. The football has been genuinely extraordinary. Messi's hat trick against Algeria, Raúl Jiménez's tears at the Azteca, Cape Verde holding Spain to a goalless draw, the Democratic Republic of Congo earning a historic point against Portugal in their World Cup debut. And the attendance numbers, contrary to what many expected heading into the tournament, have actually been strong. FIFA confirmed a record 281,000 fans passed through stadium turnstiles in a single day this week, surpassing the previous record set back in 1994. So if the football is good and the crowds are showing up, why does this still feel like a tournament under genuine strain? Because beneath the surface of a successful first week, 5 distinct warning signs have continued to build, each one separate, each one documented, each one carrying the potential to define how this World Cup is remembered long after the trophy is lifted in New Jersey. Let's go through them honestly, one at a time, because the full picture here is more nuanced than either the doom narrative or the celebration narrative captures on its own. The first warning sign cuts deepest because it involves human lives, not logistics. In January, 2 American citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, were shot and killed by immigration enforcement agents during protests in Minneapolis. Preddy was a 37-year-old ICU nurse killed while filming a protest. Video evidence in both cases raised serious questions about whether either individual posed any threat to the agents involved. Their deaths triggered nationwide protests and quickly became part of the conversation surrounding this tournament. Former FIFA president Sepp Blatter publicly endorsed comments from Swiss anti-corruption lawyer Mark Peeth, who told fans directly to stay away from the United States. Peeth's specific warning was blunt, that supporters should expect that if they didn't please officials upon arrival, they could find themselves put straight on the next flight home, and that fans would see the tournament better on television anyway. This is not a minor undercurrent to a football story. It is a documented tragedy that has genuinely shaped how a portion of the international football community feels about traveling to this tournament at all, and it sits at the foundation of every boycott conversation that followed. The second warning sign is visa and travel access, the gap between which nations qualified and which of their supporters can actually attend. Senegal's captain Kalidou Koulibaly addressed this directly and without political framing. He said simply that every team should be able to have their people there to support them, and that he didn't understand why supporters from African nations couldn't have theirs. Cape Verde's goalkeeper Vosinha provided a quieter but equally telling illustration. After delivering one of the standout individual performances of the tournament's entire opening round, the saves that helped his nation hold Spain to a scoreless draw, he revealed that his own mother could not be present for his World Cup debut. Travel restrictions affecting nationals from dozens of countries, an expanded visa ban specifically covering Senegal and Ivory Coast announced months before the tournament, and broader uncertainty around entry processing have combined to mean that for a meaningful number of supporters, qualifying for the World Cup did not translate into the ability to actually be there. The third warning sign is weather, and unlike the others, it has already disrupted the tournament in immediate and physical ways. A flash flood warning was issued near Houston during the Portugal against Democratic Republic of Congo match, with heavy rain affecting the outdoor fan festival, even though the stadium itself was protected by its roof. Fans leaving the venue were specifically warned about the risk of flash flooding in low-lying areas of the city. Elsewhere, conditions swung in the opposite direction entirely. Toronto's open-air stadium produced one of the coolest and wettest matches of the tournament for Ghana against Panama, with temperatures barely reaching the upper teens Celsius, and supporters told to prepare for sustained rain since umbrellas weren't permitted inside the venue. The unpredictability of weather conditions spread across 16 cities and 4 time zones has created a logistical strain that no amount of advanced planning has been able to fully neutralize.
The fourth warning sign is the human rights dimension that Amnesty International has been documenting consistently since the spring. The organization described the United States, which hosts 3/4 of all matches at this tournament, as experiencing what it explicitly called a human rights emergency, driven by mass deportations, aggressive enforcement tactics, and restrictions on the right to protest. In Mexico, where roughly 100,000 security personnel, including 20,000 troops, have been deployed around the tournament, Amnesty raised separate concerns about militarization leading to the suppression of legitimate protest. Residents in Mexico City had already demonstrated against gentrification, housing displacement, and water shortages directly connected to World Cup preparations before the opening match was even played. These are not isolated local disputes that exist on the margins of the tournament. They are the documented backdrop against which this entire World Cup has unfolded, acknowledged by one of the most respected human rights organizations in the world. The fifth warning sign is officiating trust, the VAR controversies that have followed this tournament through every match of its opening week. From the Switzerland against Qatar penalty decision, where the deciding visual evidence was never shown to the watching public, to the Argentina against Algeria match, where Lionel Messi avoided any card for a challenge that experienced professional analysts said should have resulted in a red, a pattern has emerged that has fed a growing skepticism about whether officiating decisions are being applied consistently across every team and every player. That skepticism matters in a way that goes beyond any single match, because trust in officiating is part of what makes a tournament's results feel legitimate to the millions of people watching them unfold. Here is the honest, complete picture, holding both realities at once. The football has overperformed expectations. The attendance has broken records that have stood since 1994. The game is doing exactly what it always does at this level, finding a way to be remembered for its brilliance regardless of what surrounds it. But none of the 5 warning signs above have been resolved by that footballing success. They exist in parallel with it, not in competition with it. A tournament can fill its stadiums to record numbers and still be operating against a backdrop of real human cost, real exclusion, and real institutional strain that won't simply disappear because the matches have been good. What do you think? Does the strength of the football and the record attendance change how seriously these warning signs should be taken? Or does a genuinely great tournament on the pitch make it too easy for people to look past everything that's happening around it? If you found this worth your time, a like helps more than you'd think. Subscribe if you enjoy thoughtful football coverage, and let me know your view in the comments. I read every one. This story is still developing, and as always, football never stays quiet for long. See you in the next one.